Was it a decision to home educate? No, it was a decision to make something change.
Because I've been in the system and seen the system, and then I saw what was happening, we got to the point where we felt we didn't have any choice.
The education system, in a way, it did fail her.
I just wanted to stay in my room and cry.
It tries to group everyone together because it doesn't have the time.
Have to wear the same thing again and again and again.
It's education that's compulsory and not schooling.
If your child goes to school, what do? They wake up in the morning, they have to put on a uniform, they have their breakfast, they're always in a rush. You've got to get them there in time for the bell. The bell rings and off they march into their classes, not to be seen again until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Take a home-educated child. They don't have to rush breakfast, they don't have to dash out of the house. They can do all sorts of things that they're interested in, and they don't have to stop when a bell rings. They don't have to start when a bell rings, and if it's a nice day they can go off and do something quite different. So it can be very spontaneous. So they don't go to school, but they are being educated, because it's education that's compulsory and not schooling. The problem with things like the Curriculum for Excellence is that it's just applied a set standard of education and outcomes to children. They maybe want to do something completely different. They want to bang their own drum, as we have said in some of our newsletters. They want to create their own path and decide themselves which road they want to go down. The system has a lot to learn from people who just do it themselves.
For us, homeschooling is just something very organic. It just happens in like everyday life. We live, I suppose, more than it is school. They've never been to school themselves, so I've homeschooled them from birth, basically. I'm also a lone parent and a working mother. I think most parents would agree that you want to like do the best by your children and for your children. And for a lot of parents, that is putting your children into school. And for me, I feel like I can offer them something more. Without looking at these, in fact, I'll keep these. What are 3 kinds of galaxies?
Irregular. Kinds of galaxies. Elliptical.
Elliptical,
And spiral.
Yay, it's brilliant, well done. It was my sister who was actually told that, the teachers told my parents that she wouldn't be able to read, that she had special educational needs and that. But they had been saying about putting her in a lower class and this and that, and my mum and dad actually spent a bit of time reading with her and realised there was nothing really that was any different to how my eldest sister had been reading and stuff. And so they took her out of school at that moment. That's when the home education actually started. And from that, I mean, she started reading like really, really fluently within the year. And now she's actually a secondary school, a high school teacher and coordinator teaching English literature. So it's quite like interesting how the education system, in a way, it did fail her because it was very like adamant to sort of put her behind a class. But that's where I sort of really got the idea of kind of how you can sometimes get left behind in a school, or how it's not suitable maybe for all children, because we are all completely diverse and unique in our own way. So maybe we should be treated and taught in the same way, you know.
My favourite thing to do with homeschooling is to do music. I want to be someone in a band.
In a band, okay. Who else is going to be in your band though?
Leah with the piano.
Uh-huh.
And you do the singing.
Have you got a drummer yet?
Robin.
Robin, okay. How old's Robin?
6.
6. So Robin goes to school, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It becomes a family learning, you know. We never stop learning, do we? And it's, I think, a bit silly to just assume that it's the adult teaching the child.
Lies through the door in the old oak tree. Let's go there now, just follow me. We'll find adventure that never ends and meet the magic animal friends.
That's fantastic.
My name's George, I'm 19 years old and I'm a TV student at City of Glasgow College. I was home educated up until I was 12 when I chose to go to school. From a young age I was a very creative person, and I think That's where I get my passion for TV production today. From, let's say, 6, 7, I think I was, I started making stop motion animation out of like Lego and like Play-Doh and stuff. It was awful, but I think that in the essence of what it was, I liked telling stories. And one of the small animations we did was made with Harry Potter Lego. I can't remember which character, but one of them was being chased by the basilisk. I think he gets eaten or he hides or something. One of the benefits of being homeschooled was the ability to follow that passion in a creative sense, because at school you don't have the time or the amount of time that you would have to just be creative, because school is very linear and you learn one block of a subject before you learn the next. But homeschooling it's different in the way that it's quite fluid. So if someone wants to learn something that you wouldn't cover until like almost your last year of school, they can do that first. It's very centered around what you want to learn and when you want to learn it, and the rest kind of just gets filled in. Homeschooling won't work for everyone in the same way that school won't work for everyone, and there needs to be that balance.
Home educating has been life-changing in a very, very positive way for our family.
We've been home educating now for 2, 3 years.
Being a teacher, it didn't occur to me that I would end up taking my children out of school, but because I've been in the system and seen the system, and then I saw what was happening when my children were in school, we got to the point where we felt we didn't have any choice. Our eldest daughter has learning difficulties, which we were aware of before she went to school. But they weren't being addressed. Now, they knew she couldn't read. She couldn't read at all. She didn't even know A, B, C, D. And I was trying to do stuff with her at home, but she didn't want to do anything because she'd already had from 9 till 3 at school. She was already miserable. She was already in a state.
Was it a decision to home educate? No, it was a decision to make something change. And what options were available to us? That the only avenue that we really saw was to teach your kids at home.
At school, you feel kind of like, oh, I'm rubbish at everything, because they focus on the thing you struggle at. We did tests and no one was helping me, and I had to do tons and tons of tests and I couldn't do it. I got them all wrong and they put me on red for that, and they took all my golden time away.
It was severely affecting her mental health.
And physical health.
And physical health, massive.
If I was still in school, I wouldn't be here. I would be upstairs in my bedroom, and if you said something to me, I would just go make an animal noise and just bang my head on the floor. Because at the time I was so sad, I just wanted to stay in my room and cry.
She'd been referred through to various consultants, and we saw one consultant who was very concerned about her health. When we took her out, we went back to see that same consultant, and the same
6 months
consultant
later
turned round and said, I wish I could just cure all my children like this.
It's nice being at home, and it's a lot more, it gives you a lot more confidence, and it makes you feel a lot more happy. And whereas in school it's like you have to do as you're told, you have to sit, you have to wear what you're told, you have to wear a nice school uniform, you're not allowed to get dirty. Whereas here it's like, yeah, you can wear whatever you want, you can be happy and confident and chat and say what you think, and you don't have to be like a soldier marching.
The kids have gone from being kids that couldn't socialise, couldn't play a part in the community, to being the complete and utter opposite.
It's not like schooling. Oh, it can be, but it's not necessarily like schooling. And a better term for it is really home-based education, because most of it actually takes place outside the home. People aren't sitting at kitchen tables day in, day out.
It's definitely not done in the home. Most of the time it's done at different centres, or, you know, you take your children away. You don't have to pay an awful lot to take them on holiday because you're not doing it in holiday times.
I think people think that if you're homeschooled, you're, socially inept, or you don't have that many friends, or you're very shy or weird. I think a lot of people think homeschool people are weird. I always had, close friends. I never felt isolated from being homeschooled. I did obviously have friends that were homeschooled as well from being in the homeschooling circle, but I also had friends like on my estate. I grew up in a housing estate in Dublin, and I was friends with everyone, and no one else there was homeschooled. But it was never seen as, you know, a hindrance to my ability to make friends or to fit in with the overall group.
I think in the early days, way back in the 70s, so few people were doing it that it was more difficult, I suppose, to find children who weren't at school during school time. But now there's been such an explosion in it. There are activities almost every day in every community, and people are very, very willing to travel to do joint activities and things. Research has shown that children are much more socially adept if they've been home educated, because they have mixed with a variety of ages, children from different backgrounds that we'd never have met.
Because you've not got 30 children, because you don't have to say to them, like, this is your lunchtime, this is when you line up here, you've got assemblies, you've got playtime now. That takes up an awful lot of time and energy. And when you're homeschooling, it's pretty much done by 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You know, you only need about 3 hours. You've covered everything. It's quite shocking when you first start, because I was putting aside big chunks of like 9 to 3, and realizing, oh, we're done. And I thought, of course we're done. I've got 2 children.
When we spoke to the Minister of Education, I don't believe he saw any real benefit to the people coming through a home education system to help Scotland in the future, and I just think that's massively wrong.
If it was more positively recognised from higher powers, that would help filter down through society.
The most difficulty I've encountered has been other people's judgment on homeschool education. Other people have been they can ridicule your reasons, your methods. They can actually take offence, especially other parents, if their children are being schooled, because they take it as a personal offence. Like, you know, some people do when you have something different. They think you're maybe being self-righteous, something like that. And there's lots of examples of children going to school, but there's a lot less of children having an alternative education. So that's something, by simply even introducing that idea and providing that for them, they can then go on in their lives to know that there are alternative routes.
I went through school and I saw the school system as a means to an end. Yeah, I didn't particularly enjoy it, but I got a bunch of qualifications out of it, which enabled me to go and get a job at the end. And I didn't see the home education piece as a mechanism of getting those qualifications. And I was sort of keen on the girls carrying on and persevering and seeing if they could go through it. You know, they were going to school and they were having a thoroughly miserable time, and they were progressing at a rate which was just silly. The benefit that we saw before, or I saw personally, was just, I wouldn't hesitate to do it now.
The girls' favourite topic is animals, and the easiest way to teach them anything is through animals, because that's what they love. They have both got into dog agility, and that has been a huge positive within our lives.
Go, go, go. In.
When I first started running Bella, we were training, and to begin with she was good, but we were like, oh, we're going to do really well, we're going to go to class, we're doing really well. And then we started competing, we were like, we're going to win the class, and then she ran out the ring so many times, and we were like, oh, wait a minute, it's a lot more trickier at competition.
They've trained the animals themselves, but they have to understand that the animals, when they're training them, might not learn something straight away or might not know.
You're doing really well, and then all of a sudden it's gone downhill again, but then you keep on trying and eventually you get better and better, and then it's like, wow, that was really cool.
That teaches the girls patience, but it also teaches them that you can learn something even if it's difficult. Sometimes it takes longer, but that's okay. And this year, both the girls have qualified the dog that they have both trained to go to crafts, which, it has to be said, 5 years ago, if you had asked me whether I thought that was possible, I would have told you not a chance.
When I'm older, I really want to do anything to do with animals and outdoors, but I was also thinking of either teaching other people dog agility or a dog walking business.
From our point of view, it's made our family's life so much happier. And I was, when they were in school, I was seriously scared about their future. And I'm not scared about their future anymore.
When I was at school, loads of girls were into pink and girly stuff. I hated the colour pink and girlies and all of that. Once the teacher said, can you draw a picture of a princess for me? But I drew a picture of a dragon smiling, and she said, so why did you draw that? And I said, because the dragon ate the princess. I'm not the damsel in distress, I'm the dragon.